Hello, brovs. As you can see, I got more books. More books. I also got some cat grass to highlight me review. The Mansion by Henry Van Dyke. I believe this is a biblical thing. And as you can see, it has its little dust jacket from 1911. At least that's the last copyright date on the book. I'm sure this sticker, when it comes off, it will ruin it, but I was wrong yet again. This book I intend to sell. It's a religious tract of some sort. For study, for comparison with the King James Version, and for sheer reading enjoyment, this book is of inestimable value. This is not a new Bible, but the Bible made anew. For a century in possession of a wealth of knowledge concerning the earliest text that was completely unavailable in the time of King James. As I said, it says 1911, but oh, there it is, 1939. I figured it was a later edition. There was an air of calm and reserved opulence about the Waitman mansion that spoke out not of money squandered, but of wealth prudently applied. Standing on a corner of the avenue, no longer fashionable for residence, it looked upon the swelling tide of business with an expression of complacency and half disdain. The house was not beautiful. Anyway, I plan to sell that, so that's that. How Thin the Veil by Jack Kirchhoff. A memoir of 45 days in the Traverse City State Hospital. I actually have this book already, but since it's Michigan related and I plan to sell a bunch of Michigan related books, I'll probably double it up with one of my 15 copies of the Annie's Ghost, which is about a woman who was at the Eloise Asylum. So this is my return to Traverse City, Michigan. Not to the sprawling White House on Washington Street, which all of us love, but the Traverse City State Hospital. In other days, bluntly called an insane asylum. This memoir, originally published in 1952, takes a hard-boiled look at mental health treatment before the collapse of the state-sponsored system. Body inappropriate. Maybe I'll try to find that original version. The Physics of Christmas. From the aerodynamics of reindeer to the thermodynamics of turkey. Look at Santa. He's like, what the fuck is this poppycock? Press here. I pressed this thing about 10 times. I'm guessing there was one of those music buttons in it, but it's gone. The flame and the tree. Santa and those reindeer. Christmas and the scientist. An introduction. I mean, I guess you get the idea. You don't really need examples. But for some reason, I collect Christmas books. Interesting looking ones. This one's less than interesting and not about Christmas. about witches and spells. How to turn your ex-boyfriend into a toad, and other spells for love, wealth, beauty, and revenge. Witches basically encompasses the 95% of the so-called modern witches. They think they have magical powers, which is laughable, but whatever makes people happy, I guess. The toad spell. What you say? Naughty spells for naughty girls. What a fucking claptrap. Bring back my love spell. This spell can be used to bring back an ex-lover or to end an argument between friends. The best time to cast this spell is at precisely 8 o'clock at night. At exactly 8 o'clock in the evening, light the candles and take a deep breath to relax you. Try to imagine a peaceful scene in your mind. Sorry, I'm scratching. Perhaps a beautiful garden or waves rolling onto white sands. Now hold in your hand the picture of your ex-lover or friend and repeat this chant. With the light of the flame, I'll light your desire. When I speak your name, you'll feel the glow from my fire. The spell has been cast, so be it. Jemima by Carolyn Siegel. Kentucky imprints, Berea, Kentucky. Which makes me think this is some sort of Berea, Kentucky history. And since I've been to Berea, Kentucky, well, traveling to Knoxville and Nashville to visit me child, sort of a little relic of my life. Practicing the power of now, which I plan to package with other books from this author to sell. Nothing else. The Unquiet Dead. A psychologist treats spirit possession by Dr. Edith Fiore, author of You Have, or is it Fiore? Fiore. Is that how you spell Guy Fiore's name, which is Fieri? I don't know. Moved by the suffering of patients who came to her with seemingly incurable psychological and psychosomatic problems, noted psychologist Dr. Edith Fiore began to explore beyond the boundaries of traditional psychology and made a startling discovery. A significant number of her patients were suffering from spirit possession. Sources of great emancipators, religious inspiration, Abraham Lincoln's religion. You know about Abe? I take it by now you must know about Abe. Not much can we speak of Abe, except he got shot in the head. Wolf Trap by Nelson Nye, a book I wouldn't have purchased except that it was signed by Nelson. If I can get 20 or 30 bucks out of it, why not? It's a nice little hardcover. It's obviously a British edition. I don't know much about this book. I don't know anything about the author or the book, but I know it's signed. The signature is weird because it says for daughter Donna Sue Ori from her dad, and then it's signed Nelson Nye, but I don't think Nelson was her father, but it'd be great if he was, honestly. Ghost Stories and Other Tales from Canton, which is another book that I have, but as I was saying before, I will sell different books from Michigan in little packets, and plus this one's signed. I don't know if the other one I have is signed. Well, I think I have two other books. So this third copy, one of them's got to be signed. If it's not, it's not. Canton is the next city over to the west from me, so there we go. Another book I picked up at the Step thrift store in Dearborn, as the sticker indicates. Normally I wouldn't pay $2 for a book unless it was exceptional, and this one is exceptional in its cover. So, The Man Who Never Was. Pretty cool cover. Supposedly a true story about some man who died, and then they used his identity for some purpose. A fantastic long shot. Ewan Montague was the main instigator of Operation Mincemeat, as the plan was officially named, and his description reveals all the fascinating detail that went into preparation of the hoax. I also got it for the book plate of Alma Ferguson. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't have got it for $2, but the allure of the cover. Who's this woman? She's pretty good looking. Pam. In a sort of Medusa sort of way. Yeah, if it weren't for the great cover art on the jacket and the fact that it had a book plate, I probably wouldn't have grabbed it, but I did. Doesn't even smell either. Another book I got from there, but only for the Mylar jacket. I was looking at a book the other day on my shelf that looked about this size and needed a jacket. Could probably just buy a roll of Mylar and put all the jackets I wanted from Amazon, but prefer not to give Amazon any money unless I have to. What was the book I was going to put this on? That was a Shakespeare book. What was this one? No, that's a fucking soft cover, you dullard. I don't know what it was. Where is it? It was that book, Talk with Book Collectors, but I ain't gonna fit that book for sure. Anyway, yeah, let's get back to this. Doubt this book's worth anything. Like I said, I bought it for the Mylar jacket. If it is worth something, that's great. I can sell it. Get rid of it. But as of now, it's fodder. Fantastic Mr. Fox by Roald Dahl. An old library edition. Library binding. Looks like it's got some moisture exposure and lots of fucking wear from being from 1970. But now I have a copy. Novi Public Library. I don't mind library editions. Moloch, or This Gentile World by Henry Miller. This his first extant novel. Henry Miller made his earliest full-fledged attempt at autobiographical fiction, a literary form he was later to perfect in Paris. About perfect. The writing's pretty awful, but it's a classic book. It's got to be worth more than $1. I probably should have looked it up. And the Lord spake unto Moses, saying again, Thou shalt say to the children of Israel, whoever shut up. The dawn of 1927, perhaps the most tempestuous year of his long and tempestuous life, found Henry Miller sharing a cellar on Henry Street in Brooklyn Heights with his second wife, June, and her lesbian lover, Jean. He's a cuck. Publishing a posthumous fiction naturally presents special problems, and the reader is entitled to know what, if any, editing has taken place. We have earnestly sought to present this novel in an untrammeled form as possible, correcting only misspellings, obvious inconsistency, and verb disagreements where no rewriting was entailed. With these minor exceptions, the first publication of the Henry Miller novel is exactly as he wrote it. Dion Moloch walked with the dreamy stride of a noctambulo among the apparitions on the Bowery. I say apparitions because in As every sophisticated New Yorker knows, that Bowery is nobody in New York is sophisticated. They're fucking Bolsheviks. Haunted Michigan, recent encounters with active spirits. Another book that I have multiple copies of. I just keep buying because why not? It's not signed, is it? No. This one I bought because I needed a 13th book in case they asked me to round up. And if they did, 13 would make it less money I'd have to give them. And it's not that I'm against charity, but when a charity asks you to give more charity to their charity that's already giving through your purchases, it's kind of rankles me. Don't like it. I don't like when any place asks me to round up, but I do it. And when I do it, I usually try to make it so, like today when I was at the Salvation Army, the total came to, I think, $7.99. Can you round up? I'm like, yeah, if you really want that fucking penny, take it. Lisa D'Amour, Detroit. Lisa D'Amour is a playwright and interdisciplinary artist. She is one half of the Obie Award winning. I'm so sick of artists. It's probably awful, but it's about Detroit, so I'll take it. Detroit is a brilliantly observed. Everyone says it's brilliant. Everything's brilliant. Every one of these books, if you fucking look on the back, says they're brilliant. When we open ourselves to something new. Outside a mid-sized American city, Ben and Mary fire up the grill to welcome the new neighbors who moved into the long empty house next door. The fledgling friendship soon veers out of control, shattering the fragile hold that recently unemployed Ben and burgeoning alcoholic Mary have on their way of life, with unexpected comic consequences. I guarantee it's not funny. I guarantee it's a bore. But I still bought it because it's about Detroit. And I assume this woman is from Detroit as well. Are you from Detroit, Lisa? She probably isn't even from Detroit. Her plays have been commissioned. I don't know. Don't care. Pleiadian workbook. Awakening Your Divine Ka. Hey, Ka. Hopefully this is worth some money so I can sell it. If not, it just goes onto the shelf of paranormal quackery that I already have thousands of tomes of. Maybe not thousands, hundreds. The Pleiadian workbook is a direct transmission from the Pleiadian emissaries of light, beings from the Pleiades, who say it's time now for spiritual growth, ascension, and healing. Through Amara Kuan Yin, we are taught to open our Ka channels, which pull energy from our multi-dimensional holographic selves into our physical bodies. Listen, there are no Kas and Chas and Chis and Chos and whatever you call it. You're either going to fucking do it or you aren't. If you need this book to do it, you need to pay $15. I guess it's just a step in that direction, but look at all this. Just fucking do it. You don't need to read all this bullshit. You'll be much more vulnerable to psychic attack or invasion by get a fucking pitchfork and stop hanging around with bumbling fucks. Stop mass hysteria, America's insanity, from the Salem witch trials to the Trump witch hunt. Michael Savage. What year was this? 2019? I think Savage has basically been canceled to the lower depths of purgatorial hell. I don't even know if he's still alive. Assume he is. Anyways, I've never read a single word of any of his books, but I used to like listening to him just because Just because he's a complete dickhead on the radio. Yeah, I agree with what a lot of stuff he says, but I mean, I don't know if it's a shtick or if he really hates people that he's talking to. My guess is he truly hates people because I can't remember. I think someone did I wrote a review on one of my blogs about his book, How to Cure Yourself from Cocaine Addiction. And he commented on that I was a cunt. Then I also had a battle with him on Facebook about something. Oh yeah, he said Woodstock was a cultural revelation or something. I was just like, no, it's a bunch of communists fucking wallowing in their own filth and depravity. But he claims it was a cultural revolution. None of this shit's a cultural revolution. Happy belated birthday. Sorry it took me so long. Couldn't find the right book. Love you, Bear. The CIA, Vietnam. Wait, this is the book it took you a long time to find? JFK, the CIA, Vietnam, and the Plot to Assassinate John F. Kennedy by L. Fletcher Prouty. Hey, honey, I love you a lot, little huggy bear. Let's read about Kennedy getting his fucking head blown off by the CIA. Thanks, huggy baby. The Witching Hour. In the Witching Hour. Anne Rice. A novel, obviously. I did watch The Interview with the Vampire, which I thought was a decent movie. Not a great movie. And, but I was always struck by the fact that the little girl, what was her name in that, what's her name, the actress? She was stuck as a vampire at age 8 or 10 or whatever age she was. Was that Kirsten Dunst? Yeah, she was stuck at a vampire at age 8 for the rest of her life, and she was bitter about it, which is understandable. Though I think at the time when I watched the movie, my own child was about 8, and I thought I never want my child to get older than 8. But then I realized, I'm like, what kind of hell are you wishing upon your child to keep them forever in adolescence? And yeah, I don't know. When you think about it, is it really that bad? But I guess it is, sort of, because then they could never experience half the stuff in the world. Like being defeated by morons on a constant basis, being demeaned on the job site, being cheated on. But then there's also the good stuff. This is Shakespeare arranged for modern reading. I don't know what the hell that means. I don't care because I'm never going to read the book, but 50 cents. You got to pick it up. What year is this? (1946), first edition. Shakespeare arranged. Fat book for sure. Patrick Buchanan's Nixon, the greatest comeback. How Richard Nixon rose from defeat to create the new majority. Mixed on Nixon. Well, he had some good stuff. Ultimately, open trade with communist China, took us off the gold standard. Basically led us into the path of the New World Order, so you must categorize him as a statist. Plus his tapes were pretty funny. Anyway, I got that one for 10 cents. This one I paid a couple bucks for. A collection of ghost stories. Ghostly, a collection of ghost stories. Introduction and illustrated by Audrey Niffenegger. She wrote The Time Traveler's Wife. Normally, I would get nothing by her because she's typical nothing novelist, but this book looks pretty good. I mean, if it can't be bad because it's got a bunch of classic stories. What the hell's that? Is that part of the book? Anyway, the jacket's amazing. Oh, it's got matting, you bastard. This ain't gift quality. I tried to. Anyway, collection of ghost stories. It's probably the same people. Poe. Audrey slaps herself in there, of course. Edith Wharton. Oliver Onions. M.R. James. Wodehouse. Gaiman. Kipling. Burrage. Saki. Etc. Etc. Ray Bradbury. Another new book I got today. Whistler, A Life for Art's Sake. Another 50-cent purchase. Whistler's obviously the artist. The first biography in more than 20 years of James McNeill Whistler, 1834 to 1903, is also the first to make extensive use of the artist's private correspondence. Great. Butterfly Rebellion. I don't know anything about Whistler. Technology of the Gods, The Incredible Sciences of the Ancients. David Hatcher Childers. Technology of the Gods lays out the mind-bending evidence that long-lost civilizations had attained and even exceeded our modern level of advancement, which is a theory proposed by Graham Hancock many years ago, probably in the mid-90s, about the Sphinx and the mystery of the Sphinx. I used to have a signed copy of him because I went and saw him read at a Borders out in West Bloomfield or something. Interesting book. Septepi and all that stuff. There it is. See, the Sphinx. I bet you it even mentions him in there. Graham Hancock. The Twilight Zone Companion. I put this book back twice, but I was just like, you know what? And then I looked it up and it looks like it's worth about $8 or $10. So $50, whatever it cost me, in exchange for a $10 book, worth it. Plus, if I ever feel like watching the Twilight Zone, I probably won't. The Mayan Code, Time Acceleration and Awakening the World Mind. Barbara Hand Clough. This book isn't worth very much, but if anything, you can read this and see how much she got wrong about predictions of the coming apocalypses and whatever the hell she wrote about back in 2007. The Michigan Dog Man. True stories from eyewitnesses. I can't remember who told me they saw a dog man. Somebody I knew. Up north, they claimed they saw a dog man that was like 10 feet tall. Dog man sightings. True stories from eyewitnesses. And lastly, A Child's Life of Mary Baker Eddy. From the same store by Ella H. Hay, but from the same store that I've purchased several books on Mary Eddy, Baker Eddy. Lots of nice old hardcovers. Christian Science Publishing Society. Christian Scientists. Yeah. So I've got a pretty good collection going of her. And I guess that's all, bruv. Goodbye, bruv.